Today, we discuss one Islanders player who never stops hustling, rate his season and his future with the team. Plus, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals lives up to the hype, and an Islanders prospect wins MVP of his junior league. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today and be part of the Locked On Islanders family. And thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We have got a lot to get to on today's show. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question you'd like to ask, a comment about something we said, or a topic that you'd like us to discuss on the show, feel free to send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnIsles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the Islanders news and happenings throughout this important offseason, from trade rumors, free agency, and the draft. Everything going on to your New York Islanders between now and the start of training camp. We'll cover it for you here on the Locked On Islanders podcast. We are going to continue our player-by-player review of this past season. We are going to discuss center Austin Czarnik. Czarnik, one of the most dedicated Islander players, always hustling, and still, one of those players who is not a part of the core. He is very much a fringe NHL player. But one thing I love about Czarnik, his motor never stops moving, and you could plug him in at any time, and he's going to give you everything he's got. Czarnik played 11 games with the Islanders this year, mostly as a fill-in when players either had COVID or were injured or some combination of that. But in 11 games, playing almost exclusively on the fourth line, you had 2 goals, 5 points, and a +5 from Austin Czarnik. He blocked 5 shots, had 2 hits, and only averaged 10 minutes, 57 seconds of ice time. So essentially, playing fourth line minutes, not getting power play time. He's a little less than a point every other game player. Now, I know there's only a small sample size, but if you watch Austin Czarnik out there, the plays he makes are smart plays. He's a heady hockey player. He forechecks like a dervish. He is anticipates where the puck is going to be well. One of the things working against Czarnik is his size. He's 5'9", 170 pounds. By NHL standards, that's not very large, and it limits what maybe he's capable of doing at times, especially offensively, where bigger, stronger defensemen perhaps can limit him. But you know what? You got to catch him if you're going to slow him down, and Czarnik does a good job of making his presence felt. The thing about Czarnik, he is 29 years old. He'll turn 30 in December. He's not a prospect anymore. He's not a kid. He is a veteran player. And look, he spent significant time at Bridgeport this year and was a point-a-player game for the Bridgeport Islanders. 38 games down in Bridgeport, 14 goals, 37 points, and 8 penalty minutes. So down in Bridgeport, Czarnik was one of the most reliable offensive players on that team and kind of a leader among the young guys in the locker room. Czarnik was not drafted, attended the University of Miami of Ohio, made his NHL debut with the Bruins in 2016-2017, has also played for the Flames, midway through this season. The Islanders tried to recall Czarnik from Bridgeport. He was claimed by the Kraken on waivers, played 6 games for Seattle, added 2 assists in those 6 games, and then the Islanders reclaimed him, and he rejoined the Islanders organization. I don't think Austin Czarnik has a future as a member of the Islanders core. He is not going to play 50, 60, 70 games in the NHL, barring injuries, some significant trades, or what have you. But Czarnik is a reliable player, and the Detroit, Michigan native is someone who you can call up, and he'll give you everything he's got, and he will not hurt your team and may even be able to help your team given a limited role. Is he going to play top 6 minutes? Is he going to be a dynamic goal scorer in the NHL? No, probably not. But will he hustle? Will he check? Will he play sound positional defense? Will he create turnovers for you off the forecheck? And will he be able to produce points at a respectable clip for a 4th-line player? Yeah, the answer is yes. And you could probably also stick Austin Czarnik on the 3rd line for a few games if you need to. So I like Czarnik. I'm not saying he is an important part of the Islanders core, but he is a useful player to have in the organization. And number one, he's going to help your younger players down in Bridgeport. Be a leader. Someone who's played in 142 career NHL games. Somebody who knows the system. Somebody who's been through the grind of hockey at the AHL, college hockey, and to a lesser extent, the NHL level. And he is somebody who leads by example, who is going to teach the younger players how to be a professional, how to maximize their talent, how to be the best hockey player they can be. So, no, Austin Czarnik is not your next star, but he's the type of player that every organization wants to have around. To me, this coming season, he will continue to play at Bridgeport and get called up periodically when the need arises. And look, if COVID is still a thing, he played 17 NHL games last year, 11 with the Islanders, 6 with the Kraken. You got to figure if COVID continues to be an issue, he'll get a similar number of games this year. And even if it's not, he'll probably play 3 to 5, 7 games whenever the need arises. Someone gets hurt, someone is slumping. You have Ross Johnston if a wing is out of action and you need something to insert someone on the 4th line. Austin Czarnik if you need a center. You could plug him in. You can move Cizikas up to the 3rd line. You can move Czarnik up to the 3rd line. But he's one of those guys who is just good to have around in your organization, and I think he'll continue to play that role in the coming season for the New York Islanders. We have got a lot more to get to. An Islanders prospect winning the MVP of the Quebec League. I think a great story and something to look forward to for Islander fans. We've got that, plus a rugged defenseman who helped the Islanders in their 1975 playoff run is our Islanders' birthday of the day. All that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup. You've got the Stanley Cup Final between the Avalanche and the Lightning, Major League Baseball, and, of course, all the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC to boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We have an important favor to ask you. We've put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and what you don't like about Locked On Podcasts. So go to LockedOnPodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take you very long, and Everyone that completes a survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. To take our audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey, and thanks for your help. So some good news for the Islanders. And, to me, this is the stuff I love. William Dufour, Islanders prospect, wins the 2022 Michel Briere Trophy as the most valuable player of the Quebec League. He played for the St. John Sea Dogs, and he had one outstanding season in the Quebec League. 56 goals and 60 assists. That's 116 points in just 66 games. He led the entire Quebec Major Junior Hockey League in goals and finished second in the league in points. That made him the second player in Sea Dog history to win the Michel Briere Award. Mike Hoffman, a name familiar to hockey fans in the NHL, was the winner previously from the Sea Dogs. Now, here's the beauty about it. Dufour, a fifth-round pick of the Islanders back in 2020. And last year, 55 points in 2 years ago, 55 points in 59 games. That's what got him drafted, a very respectable season. Then last year, he had 29 points, including 17 goals in 23 games. So a very big jump this year, and that is a great thing. The new goal total, by the way, a St. John's franchise record. And 56 goals, the old record 47. And the point total, also a new record, 116. The old record was 105, held by Jonathan Huberdeau. So, again, some pretty big names being surpassed, basically, by Dufour. And here's the thing, Dufour, 6'3", 205. He's a big kid, and he's from Quebec. You like to see those potential power forwards, those big players, develop and blossom, because it usually takes them a little bit longer to be effective when they are playing against adults in the NHL. To be that physical player that you need, that's not easy for a young kid when you're, weighing 180 pounds, let's say, and your opponent weighs a lot more. So that's, one of the things that is why power forwards and big players take a little bit longer to develop, but an encouraging sign. And you get the feeling while he's still a year or two away from being ready to play on Long Island. We know the Islanders need goal scorers. We know their prospect pool is not highly regarded around the league, but Dufour should improve that ranking and give the Islanders another reason for hope in the future. So congratulations to William Dufour. Wanted to touch briefly on the Stanley Cup Final. Game 1 between the Lightning and the Avalanche played on Wednesday night in Colorado. And what a game it was. Exciting contest, goes to overtime, and the Avalanche win it a minute 23 into overtime. Andrei Burakovsky with the game winner, 4-3, the Avs over the Lightning. I know most Islander fans pulling for the Avalanche. Devon Taves certainly being one of the factors in that thought process. The other being that, you don't want anyone to three-peat and be the first team to win 3 straight Stanley Cups since the Islanders did it in the early 80s. But what a game it was. This is a great matchup on paper, and so often you see games like this not live up to the hype. Well, this one lived up to the hype. And the surprising thing early, Andrei Vasilevsky, the all-world goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning, letting in 2 soft goals in the first 10 minutes of the game, putting Colorado up 2-0. And you think, okay, the Avs have this one. The Lightning are going to shrink and be demoralized. No, they weren't demoralized at all. And the Lightning essentially came out, got back into the game. Nick Paul scoring 12 and a half minutes into the first period. Then they give up a 5-on-3, take some foolish penalties, and Artturi Lehkonen scores a power play goal. It's 3-1 after 20 minutes. But the Lightning, to their credit, showing why they are the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, they tie it with 2 goals in less than a minute in the second period, and then, play a fairly even third period. And Vasilevsky, after the slow start, kind of picks it up and plays very well for the rest of the game. He's kind of like that ace pitcher in baseball where if you're going to get him, you got to get him early in the game, like in the first inning before he settles down, and then he's lights out. That was kind of the way Vasilevsky was in game 1. Both the power play goal on the 5-on-3 and the overtime winner, not soft goals. Nothing really Vasilevsky could have done about either one of them. So an exciting game. Tampa Bay hung in there, fought back, but Colorado really carried the play for most of this game, out shooting the Lightning by a 38-23 margin. And Darcy Kemper playing pretty well in goal for Colorado. The Vasilevsky versus Kemper or Francouz, either one of those matchups, it was considered a big advantage for Tampa Bay. Wasn't such a big advantage in game 1. Vasilevsky played well after the slow start, but Kemper did his job as well. And the Avs hold serve in game 1, game 2 set for Saturday, and we're all looking forward to that. Just FYI, Devon Taves, 1 shot on goal, no goals, no assist, a -1 in game 1, and Taves on the ice for 25 and a half minutes. He had 2 blocked shots in 25 and a half minutes, second among all players on the Avalanche besides Cale Makar, the all-world defenseman. So this is going to be a great series. I'm looking forward to the rest of it. And Avalanche with the early 1-0 lead. I'm still taking Tampa Bay in 7, but this series promises to be a great one, and I am going to enjoy every minute of it. When we come back, we have our Islanders' birthday of the day, a rugged defenseman from the mid-'70s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got that and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And today, Friday, is the 71st birthday for former Islanders defenseman Dave Fortier, the native of Sudbury, Ontario, drafted by the Maple Leafs in the second round back in 1971. Made his debut in the NHL for Toronto in the 72-73 season, playing 23 games, potting his first career NHL goal and 4 assists. But spent all of 73-74 with the Oklahoma City Blazers of the Central League, where he racked up 200 penalty minutes in 72 games. But in 74-75, acquired by the Islanders, played 65 games for the Isles, had 6 goals, 18 points, and 79 penalty minutes, added 2 assists and 33 penalty minutes in 14 games during the Islanders' exciting run to the semifinals in 1975, the year that the team really went from expansion joke to contending team. And that 75 playoff run to me remains one of the most incredible runs in playoff history. The following year, he was back with the Islanders, 59 games, 2 assists, 68 penalty minutes. And then he went on to play for the Vancouver Canucks for 1 year, and then the Indianapolis Racers of the WHA before hanging up his skates after the 78-79 season when he played in the minors. For his NHL career, Fortier had 205 games, 8 goals, 29 points, 335 penalty minutes, add 2 assists in 20 playoff games, all with the Islanders. And at 5'11", 190, Fortier wasn't particularly big during his era, but he was tough. He was a player you didn't want to mess with, and he did a good job of helping to protect Chico Resch and Billy Smith during his time with the Islanders. We're going to go back and look at one of Dave Fortier's better games with the Isles. October 20th, 1974, at the old Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Islanders visiting the Washington Capitals. Ron Lowe, the goalie for the Caps, battling Billy Smith, the Islanders goalie. And in the first period, the Islanders get on the board first. Bob Bourne, his second, from Gary Howitt and Bob Nystrom at 5:30. A minute and 25 seconds later, Ernie Hickey makes it 2-0 Islanders, his first of the year, from Bert Marshall. By the way, this game was only the 6th game in the history of the Washington Capitals franchise. In the second period, Billy Harris, the Islanders' first ever draft pick, scores his 3rd goal of the season unassisted at 3:37. Isles up 3-0. Then Ralph Stewart makes it 4-0 Islanders, his 4th. Assist to our Islanders' birthday of the day, Dave Fortier and Billy McMillan at 7:25. And then Fortier, his 2nd goal of the year, Lorne Henning with the assist at 11:09. 5-0 Islanders at that point, and that's how the game ended. For Dave Fortier, 1 goal, 2 points, 3 assists on 3 shots on goal, and the goal, of course, coming at even strength. Islanders blanking the Capitals 5-0, 26 saves for Billy Smith to earn the shutout. Islanders out shooting the Caps 28-26. And how bad were these first-year Washington Capitals, a team that played 80 games and won 8 of them? And, you know, not a lot of names you're going to remember from this team. Greg Jolly was the first ever draft pick in Capitals history. Yvon LeBray had his number retired by the Capitals, but, you know, some older players a little past their prime, like Tommy Williams and Doug Moens, on that roster. Jack Eagers used to play for the Rangers. A lot of players, you know, Ron Lowe, because he went on to coach in the NHL and later played for, among other teams, the Edmonton Oilers. But overall, this Capitals team still one of the worst, if not the worst, in NHL history. But the Islanders handling them convincingly, 5-0. So again, happy 71st birthday to Dave Fortier. Fortier is our Islanders' birthday of the day. When we come back on Monday, we will be discussing Robin Salo's season with the Islanders and at Bridgeport, and we will talk about basically what Salo's future looks like. And I'll tell you right now, for Salo, this is going to be a very, very interesting season. A season where the opportunity is there, and we have to see whether or not he's going to be able to seize it and become a full-time member of the Islanders defense corps. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NHL. Locked On NHL covers the playoffs like no other. You could hear the latest news and opinions from local experts every Monday through Friday. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. That does it for today's episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.